All right, let's dive back in. Welcome back. Today we're looking at the footnotes and the heavy lifting behind Emmeline Nagoski's argument in Come As You Are. We're talking about why just paying attention might actually be making things worse.
Oh, I love that, because for a long time, the advice has been be more mindful. And I'm here to say, maybe stop, or at least change how you're doing it.
Yeah, because my mindfulness usually just involves me wondering if I left the stove on, or if that person at the grocery store was judging my shirt.
Which is exactly the point. We're looking at this section where she's citing studies on anxiety and depression. She points to this study by Hoge and colleagues. It's a big one, where they compared mindfulness to self-compassion.
Right, and the finding is killer. They found that self-compassion was a better predictor of quality of life than just being aware. Awareness alone wasn't the magic fix.
See, this is the software update I keep talking about. We think awareness is this neutral, empty vessel, but Nagoski is arguing that the quality of that awareness is everything.
She gets really specific here. Look at what she says about women who are already struggling with sexual functioning. She cites Velton and others. She's saying these women might actually be too aware.
Wait, so they're hyper-focusing?
Exactly. They're intensely monitoring their own bodies, worrying more about their genital sensations.
And here's the physiological kicker. She notes that this intense, worried focus could actually reduce both subjective arousal and physical genital blood flow.
That is so wild. So the more you're checking, is it happening? Is it working? Am I doing this right? The more you're literally choking off the physical response.
It's like the body is sensing the audit and deciding to shut down the factory. It ties back perfectly to her dual control model we discussed earlier. The brakes are being slammed on by the very act of checking the brakes.
It's like when I'm trying to sleep, but I suddenly think, wait, am I breathing too shallowly? And then suddenly I'm gasping for air like I'm running a marathon.
Exactly. But she offers a way out. She says, we can't change the sensitivity of the brakes, but we can change the context.
This is the most important pivot in the whole chapter. She's saying we can shift from worried awareness to non-judgmental awareness.
It's the difference between being a critic in the front row of your own sex life and just being present.
Right? Because the critic is the one triggering the brakes.
She even links this to the study from Chapter 6, that greater awareness in women who weren't in distress was actually linked to more concordance.
So, the hardware is fine, the sensors are working, it's just the software, the interpretation layer that's glitching.
It really is. It's not that you're broken, it's just that your attention is currently running a very stressful program.
And looking at these references, man, the sheer amount of data she's pulling from neuroscience, sociology, even studies on how pain works, she's building a massive wall of evidence to back up this one simple idea. Be kind to yourself.
It's a much more stable foundation than just trying harder. Okay, let's pull back the curtain a little. We've been talking about the software and the brakes, but if you look at this bibliography, Nagoski isn't just throwing around vibes. She is standing on a mountain of actual empirical data.
It's a lot, isn't it? I mean, I'm looking at these titles and it's like, it's heavy. All these studies on vaginismus, dyspareunia, attachment styles, it's a lot of clinical weight.
It's like she's presenting a legal brief for the defense. Your Honor, Exhibit A, a study on how disgust literally weakens sexual arousal.
That's actually a really good way to put it, Paco. Look, she cites Bork and de Jong here. They studied how feelings of disgust and contamination sensitivity can actually act as a massive physical barrier.
And it connects to what we were saying about the brakes. If your brain perceives a stimulus as disgusting or unsafe, the brakes aren't just tapped, they are slammed on. It's a physiological reflex.
But wait, look at this one from Bradford and Meston. The impact of anxiety on sexual arousal in women. It's right there in the title. Anxiety makes you worried, and anxiety changes the physical outcome.
Exactly. And it's more than just being nervous. She's pulling from studies like Britton and others, looking at predictors of sexual desire disorders. She's showing that the disorder isn't some mysterious, unfixable brokenness in the woman's biology.
So it's more like the environment is buggy?
Exactly. Like we said earlier about the software update. If the environment, the context, is full of anxiety or shame or fat talk, which she also cites, looking at how women self-degrade, then the biological hardware is being fed bad data.
I just saw something else in here. She cites Adam Maroon's Everything.
Well, it's a meta moment. Even pop culture is used to debunking the myths of sexual health.
But look at the contrast. On one hand, you have these heavy clinical papers on pelvic contractions and spinal reflexes, the pure, low-level biology. And on the other, she's citing social studies on body image and fat talk,
It's the bridge. That's the bridge she's building. She's connecting the way we talk to ourselves and even the mirror to the way our actual blood flow responds in the bedroom.
Man, if I could find a study that proves my left eye twitching is actually a sign of imminent greatness, I'd cite it every time I was mid-argument with Seth.
See, that's the worried awareness we were talking about. You're turning a random muscle spasm into a cosmic omen.
But seriously, look at the sheer range. She's citing everything from the International Society for the Study of Women's Sexual Health to studies on how attachment styles, how we bond with our parents, impact how we show up in adult intimacy.
It's all one system. The biological, the psychological, the social.
And she's using all of it to say the problem isn't that the hardware is faulty. The problem is that the operating system is being overwhelmed by a massive unoptimized influx of stress, shame, and bad data.
So, basically, we just need to clean up the cache and stop running so many background apps like selfcriticism.exe.
Precisely. It's time for a system reboot. Okay, so we've looked at the software and the brakes, but I want to pivot to something in this bibliography that feels even more foundational.
Like the hardware?
Exactly. I was looking at the citation for Anne Fausto Sterling. She wrote, "Sexing the body."
Oh, I know that one. That's the heavy hitter for understanding how we construct what's natural.
Right. She's essentially arguing that even our most basic biological categories are shaped by politics and social meaning. So, when we talk about female sexual response, we aren't just talking about anatomy. We're talking about a version of anatomy that has been culturally sculpted.
So you're saying the standard body is just a social edit?
Precisely. And it ties back to that idea of the broken version of male sexuality we mentioned at the start. If the standard is built around a specific male-centric idea of how sex should work, then anything else is immediately flagged as a bug.
Which is so exhausting. It's like if you don't fit the template, the system sends an error message.
And look, she even cites papers on the myths of virginity, like this piece in The Atlantic. It's about how these myths create a literal, physical expectation of what a body should do or be after a certain event.
Wait, so even the idea of losing something is a piece of bad code?
Yeah. It's a narrative we've programmed into the biological reality.
And it gets even more intense when you look at the clinical side. I was just scrolling through the references for sexual obsessions and OCD.
That sounds incredibly heavy.
It is. It shows how, when the awareness we talked about earlier, that wordy awareness, becomes pathological, it moves from checking the brakes to a total system hijack.
So the brakes aren't just being tapped. They've become the only thing the engine knows how to do.
Exactly. And then you have studies like this one by Adams, or even the piece in Cosmopolitan about the one little pill to save desire.
God, I love how she puts Cosmopolitan right next to heavy clinical neurology. It's like she's saying, yes, the pop culture hype is there, but let's look at the actual neurons.
Right? Because a pill, the quick fix software patch, doesn't address the underlying context problem. If the context is still, I am anxious and my body is failing, the pill is just putting a new skin on a broken process.
So, we're back to the same point. We can't just patch the hardware. We have to fix the environment.
Or at least stop letting the environment run a malware attack on our own self-image.
Which, looking at this massive list of studies on stress and cortisol, is a pretty massive undertaking.
But it's the only way to actually get the system running smoothly. No more error messages, just flow.
Okay, we've covered the big psychological shifts, the move from worried awareness to self-compassion. But I want to dive back into the sheer technical precision of this bibliography.
You mean the part where it stops being a vibe and starts being a roadmap?
Exactly. Because look at this. Jansen and colleagues. They aren't just theorizing about feeling good. They're citing the specific sexual inhibition, sexual excitation scales. They're talking about the literal measurement of the accelerator and the brakes.
Instead of I feel stressed, it's the data shows a quantifiable shift in the inhibition response. It makes the argument much harder to dismiss as just empowerment talk.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with a scale. You can't just say, no, I think the brakes are fine, when there's a standardized metric right there in front of you.
But look at how she uses that precision to tackle the really messy stuff. Like, she cites Komisaruk, and man, this is intense.
You mean the fMRI studies?
Yeah, she's looking at brain activation during cell stimulation, even in women with complete spinal cord injuries. She's proving that the nervous system, the actual neural pathways for pleasure, can function even when the external physical hardware is severely compromised.
That's a huge point for the software argument. If the brain can still map pleasure through the vagus nerve, then the brokenness isn't in the nerves, it's in the signals being sent.
Wait, so the wiring is actually incredibly resilient?
It is. She uses that to dismantle the idea that certain physical limitations or dysfunctions are permanent dead ends. If the brain is still mapping the sensory cortex, the potential for response is still there.
It's so beautiful and terrifying at the same time. It's like the spark is almost impossible to extinguish as long as the signal can get through.
But then she pivots, and it gets much more grounded. She cites Drazkowski, looking at how women perceive things like lubricant use or vaginal wetness.
Beckley, is it working check-in?
Exactly. And the study shows that the perception of these things, how much wetness a woman thinks is happening, is a huge factor in her own experience.
Which brings us back to the audit we talked about earlier. If you are hyper-focused on the lubrication levels or the texture, you are essentially running a diagnostic scan in the middle of a performance.
And a diagnostic scan is the opposite of intimacy. It's clinical. It's cold.
It's like trying to enjoy a movie while you're sitting there analyzing the frame rate and the color grading. You're missing the plot.
And she uses that to bridge into the social side. She cites Sue Johnson, the Hold Me Tight author. She's bringing in attachment theory.
Right. Because you can't talk about the context of sexual response without talking about the context of the relationship. If the attachment is insecure, the brakes are permanently engaged.
It all circles back. The biological hardware, the psychological software, and the social environment.
Even the pop elements. She cites the Kinsey reports the foundation of all this, but she also puts them alongside studies on how the thin ideal, or fat talk, impacts body esteem.
It's like she's saying, here's the 1940s data, and here's the 2020s Instagram data. They are both part of the same struggle to define what a normal body is.
And it's a struggle that is clearly winning. The bad data is everywhere.
But looking at this list, it feels like she's finally giving us the tools to fight back, to debug the system,
to rewrite the code, one study at a time.
Seriously, my brain needs a reboot after all that data.
Let's just jam for a second and clear the cache.